TBLT sounds simple in theory, but in practice, a lot of teachers aren't sure how to structure the lesson. If the structure is weak, the task can feel chaotic, or the lesson can just turn back into a PPP lesson with a task added to the end. In this episode, we'll show you a simple three-part framework for planning a task-based lesson. Let's start then with phase one, and this is called the pre-task. First, you prepare learners for the task. Let's say the task is to plan a class trip. Now, this is actually way better if the students are actually going to go on a class trip because it makes it authentic, and that's what TBLT should all be about. In the pre-task, you introduce the context, explain the goal, and make sure that learners understand what it is they need to do and the decisions that they might need to make. You might also give some useful words or show a model of a similar task. But the key point is that in TBLT, the lesson is not built around teaching a grammar point first. The aim here is simply to get learners ready to do the task. Let's move on then to phase two. Phase two is called the task cycle. This is the heart of the lesson and has 3 steps. So the first one is task performance, and learners do the task usually in pairs or groups. In this case, they might decide where to go, how much to spend, and what activities to include on their trip. The focus is on reaching an outcome, not on speaking perfectly. The next step is planning. So next, they plan how to report back to the class. This is where you, the teacher, can give language support and help them say things more clearly and accurately. The third step is report. Then they report their ideas to the class. Other learners can listen, compare the different trip plans, and decide which one they prefer. This gives learners a real reason to listen and compare ideas. Okay, let's move on to the final phase then, which is phase 3, called the post-task. So after the task, you focus on useful language that emerged from the learner's interaction. For example, you might pick up on language for making suggestions, agreeing and disagreeing, or talking about prices and preferences. This is the point where grammar can be discussed and analysed. So the grammar focus comes after the task, based on what learners actually needed to communicate with during the task itself. Let's think then about why this works. So this structure really helps with 3 common problems. It stops the task from feeling chaotic because learners know what they are doing. And this is important for some teachers as well who feel like they might lose control during a task-based language teaching lesson. It also stops the lesson slipping back into PPP because the starting point is meaning, not grammar. And it gives grammar a clear place in the lesson, but after the task, not before it. This framework starts with communication and then moves into reflection on language. And that is what makes it different from a more traditional PPP lesson. So if you want to plan a task-based lesson that's effective and engaging, this 3-part structure is a great place to start with. If you found this interesting, you might be interested in our TBLT explainer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.